Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to an all-new edition of War Week Radio. This is a special post-fight edition of Vasyl Lomachenko versus Nicholas Walters, staged by Top Rank Inc., broadcast by HBO Boxing, staged at the Cosmopolitan of Las Vegas in Las Vegas, Nevada. And Gogue, lo and behold, it was a surprising stoppage, and not the kind which most fight fans actually clamor for. Nicholas Walters, former WBA featherweight champion, quits on his stool between rounds 7 and 8, claiming that, well, he didn't want to fight on any further. So your official result, guys, for Vasyl Lomachenko versus Nicholas Walters is Lomachenko gets the, well, TKO in 8. Goodness gracious. Gogue, did you see this coming?
Yeah, of course. On that show we did earlier in the week, Joe, I predicted a more dramatic beatdown of Nicholas Walters before the referee stopped it. But, Nicholas, he did the judges a favor and, quit on the stool between rounds. And, what was lost during the fight, Joe, was that suspense, the thrilling knockout I wanted Lomachenko to have to increase his marketability, to increase his brand in the sport so it can sell that Pacquiao fight in the future.
Yeah, Lomachenko, and obviously Bob Arum, the CEO of Top Rank Inc. and the promoter for both Lomachenko and Walters, well, they were talking about potentially, since Mayweather is officially retired, and until further notice, well, Bob Arum's going to state, well, he stated that we can't even talk about Pacquiao versus Mayweather. So the two fights that he was really interested in staging, right, within his own top-ranked stable, were Vasyl Lomachenko at 140 pounds and Terrence Crawford at 140 pounds for possibly April of 2017 for Manny Pacquiao. And you stated, well, in order to sell a fight with Manny Pacquiao, Vasyl Lomachenko has to put forth a really impressive effort and possibly stop Nicholas Walters. Does this kind of stoppage really stoke the fire for Manny Pacquiao versus Vasyl Lomachenko, in your opinion, Gogue?
Well, no, it didn't kill the fight, but it got, it created a lot of interest, okay? They were looking, the way he just handled Nicholas Walters like a little kid, no problem, no effort, They're like, man, this kid can fight, and it got a lot of people's attention. But if he scored a dramatic knockout like I wanted him to do, oh man, it would have got everybody excited, talking about, hey, this is a fight, we want to see. It would have created that demand in the fans, okay? Especially with social media now, everybody been talking about it. They would, oh yeah, this is a fight. This is a guy that could beat Pacquiao, okay? They would have created that buzz. But now, he got people talking now about the fight, though, which is good, Joe. But it just, it didn't get that sensational knockout like I wanted to see. And you can't blame Lomachenko. He was in the groove. He was in rhythm. He was feeling it, and he was about to give him that epic, biblical proportions beatdown like I predicted. But Nicholas Walters, he sat on the stool and killed all suspense for it. Killed all suspense for it happening.
Indeed. And the lead up to the fight, Gogue, I mean, keep in mind, Bob Arum promotes both fighters, right? Both Vasyl Lomachenko and Nicholas Walters. And during fight week, he was really miffed with the Nevada State Athletic Commission. Because, one, he brought up the fact, why on earth is Glenn Trowbridge and Burt Clemens, who just scored a controversial judgment for Andre Ward, a very unpopular one for a lot of members of the boxing community. Why on earth are they getting an assignment at this level the following weekend? And two, Adelaide Byrd, they didn't think she was appropriate for this fight for some strange reason, and they lobbied to get her taken off of this fight. Nevada State Athletic Commission said, you know what, don't worry about it. We have faith in Adelaide Byrd, and they went ahead and allowed her to work this fight anyway. So leading into the fight, Bob Arum had already taken exception to the Nevada State Athletic Commission, saying that I don't like these judges. If this goes to the judges' scorecards, there better not be any controversy for either one of my fighters. Well, Nicholas Walters created some controversy, but not in way of the judges. He called it quits between rounds 7 and 8, and you stated this, Gogue, in your big fight preview last week, that the time off, sitting out an entire year, was going to prove to be a huge detriment to Nicholas Walters in this fight. And he even stated that after the fight. Stating to Max Kellerman after the fight, saying, look, they only fought me once a year. One time, or they only fought me once a year. I can't expect it to beat a guy like Lomachenko after being largely inactive for almost an entire year. End quote, almost blaming this on his promoter, Bob Arum. Gogue, was he justified in pointing the finger at his promoter?
Oh, God, another fighter blaming the promoter when it's his fault. Hey, look, Joe, he got paid $300,000 tonight for the fight. A year ago when they offered him a fight, he turned it down. He was offered $450,000, okay?
Yep.
He lost $150,000 because of his bonehead decisions the first time he turned it down. And look, when he turned it down the first time, promoters that when they feel they give you a reasonable offer, which $450,000 was a reasonable offer at the time. And when you turn it down, the promoters, boy, they don't like that. And what do? They put you on the shelf. They usually, sit you out until you come to your senses and everything. So, look, the guy took a pay cut for this fight in what he would have got last year, okay? And, that's nobody's fault but him, Joe, okay? Like I said, when you overprice yourself and you think your market value is bigger than what reality says it is, you sit on the shelf. So, it's looking just excuses, Joe. That's what fighters do nowadays. They can't look in the mirror and say, yeah, it was my fault for, overpricing myself, my fault for not fighting when reasonable fights were offered to me, stuff like that. They got to blame somebody else and everything.
Well, do you think maybe him feeling, somewhat slighted in this situation, like the cards were stacked against him, do you think that maybe had an influence on his decision to quit in between rounds 7 and 8, and basically throw in the towel?
Shit, he seen the writing on the wall, man. He knew Lomachenko, he was in rhythm, he was in his groove, and he was about to give him that beat down. Well, like he told Max Kellerman, the round before he quit, he said he got hurt by a lot of those shots. Lomachenko was starting to, land some shots that were that were starting to hurt him, and he felt that if he continued on, it would have got worse, and he would have got hurt real bad and everything. So, he told the ref, I don't want to continue. Yeah.
Well, you know what, Gogue? Yeah, it's funny. I've never seen anything like it. Almost beginning with, if you had to go to a major fight in which someone, who's considered a tough guy, quitting on his stool, considered an elite fighter, you kind of have to go back, all the way to Roberto Duran and No Mas, not counting that. But in this era, right, kind of have to go back to Kostya Tszyu, quitting on his stool after round 11, after getting his jaw broken by Ricky Hatton in a fight, that he was actually very competitive, and it was very close on all the judges' scorecards. Gogue, why has it become a lot more recent since that time, since that landmark fight? It seems that it's become a lot more frequent than it had, say, in the 70s or the 80s. Why has there been such a dramatic change in culture among fighters, and why is it now seemingly acceptable to quit on your stool rather than fighting through adversity and taking it like a man?
Oh, we live in a soft culture. It's not a hard, tough culture like back then, where, fighters were more mentally tough, more mentally and physically tough. nowadays, these fighters, they think they're tough, they're mentally tough, but when they, we always talk about, Joe, when a fight gets tough, I want to see who the real fighters are. I want to see who the real fighters are, meaning the ones that can fight through adversity, whether they get dropped, whether they get cut, whether the fight's, a give and take fight, and they're having problems, with their opponent trying to figure them out. Okay, and and like I said, nowadays when the fight gets tough, it's acceptable just to start, give up on the stool. Tell your coach, hey, tell your coach, hey, tell the referee, hey, no mas and everything. It's just more acceptable nowadays, Joe. It's an attitude. It's a different type of culture than from the ones back then. You would never hear Bobby Chacon, quitting on his stool, or Boza Edwards, Cornelius Boza Edwards, a friend of mine, or who was the former WBC champion, or guys like Alexis Arguello, or my boy Tony Lopez, who I got to work back in the days with, man. You would never hear that word quit. You know what I mean? The ref would have to stop it. But nowadays, geez, Joe, it's just acceptable, man. When I can see it a lot of times, Joe.
And a gentleman who you knew very well, man, someone who just had a movie that just came out this past weekend, Bleed for This, Mr. Vinny Pazienza. Could you imagine him quitting on his stool between rounds?
Are you kidding me? I talk a lot with Paz on Twitter. That's my boy, man. And I always told him, man, they don't make fighters like you nowadays, man, not as mentally tough, mentally or physically tough like you. You were an animal, a beast. And I'm pretty sure I'm going to remind him. I'm gonna message him on Twitter tonight. Hey, did you see the fight tonight? I told you these fighters ain't like you. He's gonna laugh. Nah, man, Paz. Nah, no way, man. You have to kill him to get out of the ring. That's the attitude, Joe. It's just a different culture, different beliefs, and it's acceptable now. Back then, oh hell no, that never even crossed my mind, Joe. But now, different era, Joe.
Wow. So, Gogue, what's next for Vasyl Lomachenko? Obviously, Bob Arum, before this fight, was talking about the potential of seeing a showdown between Manny Pacquiao and Vasyl Lomachenko at 140 pounds, possibly for April 2017. Even though Vasyl got the stoppage victory, technically on paper, wasn't the kind of stoppage that most fight fans, they want to see. And the kind of stoppage that stokes the fan base. Was this performance enough to really light the fires and bang the drums for a potential bout with Pacquiao at 140 pounds in April of next year?
Nah, fans are talking about it now, Joe. He's going to need another win or two. Great wins. Okay, explosive knockout wins. Then the fans will start talking about it. But right now, the fans will start demanding it. Right now, they're just talking about it. You know what I mean? And that would, basically their attitude is, would that fight be any good? Would it be worth, would it be worthy of calling it a super fight that they would pay when it went to pay-per-view, okay? And that's what you got to do, Joe. You got to get the fans' interest, their desire high to want to buy this pay-per-view, to want to see this fight, to spend $60 out of their pocket, okay, to watch, to watch this fight. And right now, nah, because of you can't. That's not Lomachenko's fault. It's that Walters. He didn't give them the opportunity to get that spectacular knockout, where people are going to be buzzing all over social media and start slowly start to demand the fight. But they're talking about it, Joe. So which is good, and the talk is positive. Okay, because the guy is so he looks so he highly skilled, a highly talented, former world champion, elite level fighter like Nicholas Walters. He made him look like a little kid. You know what I mean? He made him look like a little kid, and it was so one-sided, Joe. Geez, you know what I mean? So he's got the fans on social media talking about him. Okay, but it ain't gonna demand a big. Not yet. He needs like I said, Joe, he needs to sell that fight and maybe one or two good fights, two good spectacular knockouts. Hey, then we can start talking about the Pacquiao fight next year.
Well, yeah, let's go back to last week's show when you did your Gogue's big fight preview of Lomachenko versus Walters, almost as if you had a crystal ball, Gogue. you stated that, well, two things that I thought were crucial in this fight. Obviously, the footwork of Lomachenko. You stated that, well, Nicholas Walters was going to have a hard time being able to time and counter effectively or even take the lead against Vasyl Lomachenko because of that footwork and how he always has that front foot placed on the outside of his opposition, and that seemed to be the case this evening. But two things that I thought were very crucial in this fight as well. You stated that, well, the inactivity of Nicholas Walters, being inactive for an almost entire year, was going to be detrimental to his efforts against a sharp fighter like Vasyl Lomachenko. And also you pointed out something I thought was very astute. You stated, well, Lomachenko has this sense where he knows when to take his foot off the gas and when to slam it down. In other words, he's got that sense of when a fighter is ready to be taken. And he started to really put his foot on the gas in the final minute of the seventh round, hurting Nicholas Walters. And Nicholas Walters even admitted to Max Kellerman in his post-fight interview, but he also admitted to, hey, you know, I not only was hurt, I didn't want to continue, but it's a bit unfair. Almost sounded like a sore loser. It's a bit unfair to be expected to compete against a guy as proficient as Lomachenko after only fighting once a year. Gogue. What were your thoughts on his post-fight commentary, brother?
Oh, God. Cry me a river, making excuses, okay? Hey, Joe, like I said, like I told you before, his inactivity is his fault, overpricing himself, thinking he's worth more than what HBO is willing to pay. So, his value is, he ain't a big ticket seller, so what his value is whatever HBO tells him. Okay, this is what we got in the budget, this is what we're going to pay you. Take it or leave it. Last time he left it, well, guess what? Second time around, this is all we have in the budget. Take it or leave it. This time he took it. $150,000 less than what he would have got last time.
Well, I tell you what, hopefully Nicholas Walters will learn from this. So we already talked about what's potentially next for Vasyl Lomachenko. Well, no, let's go back to that. Gogue, if he doesn't fight Manny Pacquiao and Arum actually chooses a potential interim bout, now after the fight he called out Francisco Vargas. In my opinion, I'm not sure if Golden Boy wants any part of that. In my opinion, you might look at the great Russell Peltz sticking his man Jason Sosa in against Vasyl Lomachenko. Is that matchup a lot more likely for the two-division world champion from Ukraine?
For the right money, of course. I mean, you gotta look at Sosa. What are his options out there? He's not a big draw, and HBO. If he wants to make this kind of money, he's got to fight on HBO. Now, when HBO makes you an offer and you turn it down, you might wait another year before another offer is made to you. Okay, just like Nicholas Walters, he turned the first fight down for $450, and he took the second offer second time around for $300. So Jason Sosa, Russell, he'll negotiate a good deal where his fighter gets paid good, and he might have to take this offer, because if not, you got to look at it. Even though he has the belt, Sosa, what are his options, to make good money? Slim. Okay, HBO is the only HBO is the only, show on the block. And that's all, the only one to play ball with. So basically, if they offer him this fight, the money's got to be right. You know what I mean? And hey, man, he should take the fight. Sosa.
Yeah,
he ain't gonna win it.
He
ain't gonna win it, but he'll make a good payday. He'll get beat down too. He'll get beat down worse than Walters. Okay. But
we're almost running out of time, Gogue.
Sosa got heart. He'll try. And he'll try.
Indeed.
He'll try. You ain't gonna see him quit. You'll see him take a lot of punishment. Maybe the ref will stop it, but you'll never see him quit.
How many Russell Peltz fighters have you ever seen quit on their stool, Gogue?
I can't think of any. He had all them great fighters back in the day.
Yeah, you know what? Not even Gabe Rosado when he was getting his face turned to mole, man, by Gennady Golovkin. Not even he quit on his stool. It was his corner with his father and his former trainer throwing in the towel, almost crying in the corner, stating that, hey, our guy's going to get killed. Our guy could die in the ring, throwing in the towel, but you didn't see Gabe Rosado quit.
Yeah.
That's a Russell Peltz fighter.
Well, Sosa, he got hurt. He's got balls.
They come up the hard way, Gogue, is what I'm saying with Russell Peltz.
Oh, yeah. Well, Sosa, he's physically strong. He's mentally tough. He's gonna, he ain't gonna wait. He ain't gonna wait and try to counterpunch you like Walters did tonight. He's gonna put that physical hard pressure on you. Okay, and he's willing to go through the pain. Okay, to make sure he gets that distance, which he likes to do, the close distance he likes, to work in the pocket effectively. Ground and pound on you. He likes a physical, face-to-face battle. That's what he likes. That's how he likes to fight. Okay, and he's willing to go through, take punches, as long as he can get that distance he needs to fight the fight he wants in the pocket. You know what I mean? But like I said, he ain't gonna quit like Walters. Okay, he's gonna give an honest effort, 110%. So that'd be a good fight for Lomachenko. Just a great style for him to look great, to get the fans buzzing, to sell that Manny Pacquiao fight next year.
Gogue, yeah, I mean, so do you think Vasyl Lomachenko and Bob Arum, do you think they're a little upset with, Nicholas Walters at this point, kind of depriving high-tech Lomachenko the opportunity to score an emphatic and buzzworthy knockout?
Honestly, Joe, look, if I'm in their position, every fight they have has my guy got to look spectacular. He's got to create a buzz in the boxing world over social media, and he didn't create that buzz because Nicholas Walters didn't give him that opportunity to get that spectacular knockout he needed to create that buzz. So I would, he won. They're happy. They're talking about him now. Okay. Talking about how easily he handled a great fighter like Nicholas Walters. They're talking about him, but they're still are not salivating at the mouth to want to see a super fight with Manny Pacquiao. Yeah, and maybe one or two more, Joe. Spectacular wins, then he can start beating on the drums and make this fight happen next year.
Well, and let's go to Nicholas Walters. What's in his future? He didn't seem too happy with the promoter, really putting the blame on him for being inactive. Do you think, because it's been rumored that Nicholas Walters, he had been speaking with, his management had been speaking with Al Heyman. And perhaps that was the reason why he had that inflated sense of market value. Do you think maybe he leaves Top Rank after this?
I don't know what their contract is, Joe. I don't know how many fights Bob Arum has Nicholas Walters with. I can't. A fighter just can't just walk up and leave. If Arum got a solid contract, I'm pretty sure I can guarantee you Arum ain't just gonna let him walk unless Al pays him off. So I don't know. I don't know that situation.
Yeah, well, I tell you what, the controversy with the judges going into this fight, it was all for naught, but that's how highly Bob Arum actually thought of Nicholas Walters. He really anticipated this being a potentially dangerous fight for his man, Vasyl Lomachenko, and obviously we knew all the risks going into this for Nicholas Walters. Did anything surprise you from this fight, obviously, besides the outcome? And I mean, the way it ended. Did anything throughout this fight, though, surprise you in any way, or did it play out pretty much as you stated on Gogue's Big Fight preview last week?
Just like I previewed on our show earlier in the week, Joe. It played out just like I said. Am I right? I thought there would be a spectacular knockout, and there was going to be one until he quit. But the way, Lomachenko's tactics on how he would attack Walters, pretty much everything I said he did in the preview, he did in the fight, and the way Nicholas Walters fought on how he was going to try to catch him with a sharp right uppercut, counter check left hook, or the counter right hands. He was trying to land it, but he wouldn't. He couldn't get a clean shot off on Lomachenko because Lomachenko's is a very high skill level footwork. Moving at angles where he wasn't a stationary target and everything. So yeah, Joe, it didn't surprise me, man. Everybody thought I was crazy when I said it would be easy, but I don't know. I've been watching fights for a long time.
It's amazing. I tip my hat to you, brother, because I actually anticipated a much tougher fight. In fact, when I looked at the odds and talked about it last week, being 8-1 going into this fight in favor of Lomachenko, I thought everyone was crazy. I thought the race and sports books were nuts. I thought this has to be a much more competitive and challenging fight for Vasyl Lomachenko. Well, it looks like they were right on the money as well as yourself, James. So credit to you guys. And later this week, you have a special treat for all of our listeners. You're going to be breaking down. Well, you already broke down a style matchup between Lomachenko and Manny Pacquiao. That's available to listen to on our War Week Radio page on YouTube. But you're going to be talking about a mythical matchup at 130 pounds. Gogue, would you care to elaborate to give everyone a preview of a potential mythical matchup and analysis of Vasyl Lomachenko at 130 pounds versus Pretty Boy Floyd Mayweather Jr. at 130 pounds?
Oh, geez. That'd be a hell of a fight. Oh, at 130 pounds, boy. Oh, I thought Floyd fought his best. That was his best. That was the best Floyd fought in his whole career at that weight division. His destruction of Diego Corrales was a classic. You know what I mean? And because of Floyd's great athletic gifts, his great defensive skills, his reflexes, his hand speed, his counterpunching ability, and his movement. Okay, yeah, it would be a very, very difficult fight for Lomachenko because he's gonna have to, he would have to walk this guy down and everything. But because it's Lomachenko's background and everything, he'll have the ability. He has the ability to adapt to any type of style and everything. So it would be like I said, Joe, that would have been a sizzler of a fight. If it happened back then. Two highly skilled fighters in their prime back then. Oh, yeah, that would have been a hell of a fight, man. Yeah, just Lomachenko, all the different variations he brings offensively and defensively to, every fight he has. And, his big-time amateur background, his God-given, talent, athleticism, reflexes, footwork, everything, Joe. And the guy's just, right now I think he's the best fighter in the world. You know what I mean? All around. And him and Floyd Mayweather, if they fought at 130, that's a close call, Joe. A close call.
Well, I tell you what, we look forward to hearing that breakdown a little bit later on this week before you, embark to California. You've got a fight coming up in California, huh? Yeah, a little fight on a Golden Boy show on the undercard, so it should be all right. Very good. Well, guys, I'm Joseph Herron on behalf of three-decade fight trainer James Gogue. Thank you so much for tuning in to our special post-fight coverage of Vasyl Lomachenko versus Nicholas Walters. You've been listening to War Week Radio on YouTube.